Like once I got into guitar, which was late in life, they didn't really care for that because, to quote my poppy, guitar players come a dime a dozen, Michael. Learn yourself a trade. He's a practical man. Well, I just couldn't help myself though, so I'd keep them up deep into the night with me playing in the backyard or playing in the living room, them trying to sleep in the house, because once you get hooked into learning an instrument like this and you're making progress because you're discovering stuff, the whole thing was a journey of discovery. Welcome to Ashford Gordon from the beginning, an overview of my career. We will begin with the answer to a couple of questions. Where am I from, and how did I find music? To answer the first part, I was born in Starkville, Mississippi, August 24, 1948, to a family related to the Choctaw and Chickasaw Indians located in the hill country in northeastern Mississippi. I spent my early years on a 100-acre dairy farm where I rose with the sun to milk the cows and perform other chores to aid my great-grandparents. While there were electric lights in the home, there was no indoor plumbing, and I had to gather wood each day for the wood-burning kitchen stove. Needless to say, there was no music heard on this farm. It was all business, all the time. There was always something to do. Feeding the chickens, feeding the turkeys, feeding the pigs, chopping down trees in our pine forest, hauling the logs back to the sawhorses, and working with my uncle on a two-man crosscut saw to cut the logs down to proper size for use in the stove and fireplaces. When my chores were done, I was free to walk the land, climb trees, play with my dog, and generally daydream the time away. It was an idyllic start to life. My parents moved to St. Louis, Missouri in the early 1950s, where I lived in the first federally funded housing project in the United States, Pruitt-Igoe. However, the large housing project soon proved uncontrollable and impervious to police patrol, resulting in the eventual razing of the entire group of buildings. During this period, I was schooled in a small Catholic parish school by nuns who discovered that I could sing. This led to my first public performance at Christmas Eve Midnight Mass in 1956. My earliest blues influences were to be heard on the black radio stations around St. Louis. Artists such as Little Walter Jacobs, Muddy Waters, Sonny Boy Williamson, Elmore James, Fats Domino, and Chuck Berry streamed into my home daily. I learned a phrase in my singing by singing along with these blues greats every single day. I learned their songs inside and out. My father, L.D. Gordon, a construction laborer, relocated our family to the San Francisco Bay Area in 1959, exposing me to a brand new world. Attending a series of high schools, I eventually broke the color barrier, becoming the first black student to attend Westmount High School in Campbell, California. During my high school years, I earned 5 letters in sports, played on 2 undefeated championship teams, was elected senior class president, served as salutatorian at my graduation service, and was a member of the school's state championship chamber choir. Right out of high school, I fronted a rhythm and blues group, The Sound of Soul, singing Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett tunes. I had not yet learned to play guitar, but I found myself writing poems that I thought could be put to music. In my early career, I focused on gospel music and performed throughout the West Coast, including both Northern and Southern California, Oregon, and Washington states, until the mid-70s, when I had an opportunity to run a public relations campaign. I moved to New York City and found work in various supper club and casual nightclub gigs throughout New York and New Jersey as a bass player, guitarist, and vocalist. I found the work challenging, as I do not read or write music, and yet on many of these gigs I was given a lead sheet to music I had never heard, with few exceptions, and I learned to play to the melody, whether playing bass or guitar. So my guitar comping style really came out more like a keyboard than conventional guitar. In the summer of 1976, I was booked in a drum guitar duo residency at the Brass Rail in Edison, New Jersey. This required 2 trains from Hoboken, New Jersey, down to the drummer's house in Metuchen, where I would spend Friday and Saturday night after the gig, then travel back to Hoboken on Sunday morning. It was a most intense period of development, as I was given a stack of 4x6 cards with lyrics to the songs and chord notations above the words where changes had to be made. I grew a lot musically and in confidence during that summer. Moving back to California in 1979, I founded my first blues band. However, success on any scale was hard to find, and I went to work for the local telephone company to support my growing family. Here I'd like to present an example of the rock music I was writing and playing in the very early 80s. For your listening pleasure, here is Yesterdays Are Past, featuring Len Doherty on bass, Billy Armstrong on first guitar, Peter White on drums, and yours truly on vocal and guitar. This will be followed by the first blues song I wrote, Come and Go Blues, featuring Dave Adair on first guitar, Peter White again on drums, and myself on vocal, bass, and second guitar.
Yesterday, straight out of my past, looking like I remembered you, and talking so fast. Got someone who needs me now, my yesterdays are past. Got someone who loves me now, a romance that lasts. Dear, I'm doing so fine. Thank you, dear, got peace of mind. No thanks to your worldwide ways. No thanks to your goodbye days. Got someone who needs me now. My yesterdays are past. Got someone who loves me now. A romance that lasts. One day you'd see what kind of love was between you and me. Wait a minute now, things they have changed. You took too long, now your love is in vain. Got someone who needs me now. My yesterdays are past. Got someone who loves me now. A romance that lasts. Oh, Oh, what comes around, they say it goes around, but it ain't coming around here. I got a lot going, I wanna see it coming. Well, I wanna get my share. Oh, Lord, come and go. Come and go, loves. I don't wanna come and go. Come and go, loves. Sky above, earth below. My life is in between. If I had my way, I would stay in the space of a neutral scene. World, come and go. Come and go, love. I don't wanna come and go. Oh, come and go, love.
Continuing to work gigs at night while maintaining my day job, I fronted a number of regional groups through the 80s, finally catching on in Santa Cruz, California in the early 80s until a disastrous divorce and a subsequent short-lived second marriage. But finally, wonderfully, I found the love of my life, Dale, who is still by my side today and who led me to base my blues band in Turlock, California in 1992. This band, Too Late Tomorrow, worked steadily and caught the attention of a Central California promoter who was looking for a band to back the late Seminole blues guitarist, Louisiana Guitar Red, who became a mentor to my emerging Mississippi blues sensibilities. Working behind Red to critical and popular acclaim, I honed my blues guitar technique and blues vocals to a smooth but powerful edge. In 1995, my group backed Louisiana Guitar Red at the prestigious Monterey Blues Festival, and that same year, I founded the Ashford Gordon Band in Ventura, California, and went to work recording my first CD, Nothin But Trouble. At the same time, my oldest son, Gabriel, broke out in New York as the leader of a rock outfit, 12th Planet, and soon was touring with Natalie Merchant as her guitarist and backing vocalist, revealing the passing of the mantle of my unique technique onto a young lion made in my own image. Now, to look forward to next week's episode, I will continue to give you an overview of my career, taking just a peek back to New York and the I Care Telethon publicity campaign I ran in 1975, up to the great storm of 1982 in Santa Cruz, where I will present the song Capricorn Day, written in the wake of that devastating event, and my first reggae composition, Gotta Be a Reason. See you next week for another Ashford Gordon Throwback Thursday. Bye.
Bud walked in, he sat right down, said there's a lot of pain in this town. I was wondering while he spoke if he realized that it sounded like a joke. But sis, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is.